So by now, everybody knows that I sold my Land Cruiser and I bought a 5th generation 4Runner. And I've never owned a 4Runner in my life, but this truck had really big shoes to fill. So the minute I bought it, I got right on it. No exaggeration, within 6 hours of owning it, I was already modifying it, as I tend to do. And I modified this thing, and I am modifying this thing all by myself. One of the things this needed was a rear dual swing out bumper, and I got one from a company called C4. These guys are located in Sturgis, South Dakota. Everything's made in America. They made the bumper exactly the way I wanted it. The only problem is they didn't powder coat it, so it came bare metal. Whatever, send it. I'll figure out the powder coating once it gets here. Now, if you've ever tried to powder coat or you've researched powder coating, powder coat ovens to fit a rear bumper are big money. But I found a way around it. And if you want to see how I powder coated this entire bumper without an oven, you're going to want to sit back, you're going to want to relax, and you're going to want to check this out. So yeah, powder coat ovens are really expensive, and I only needed it for this one thing. And I've powder coated before, and I'm aware there is a ton of videos out there on how to build your own powder coating oven. But believe it or not, I didn't have the time to actually build the oven, and I had a couple of tricks up my sleeve because I've used infrared before to cure two-part epoxies, etc. Now, I'll leave links below to all these videos right here showing you how to make your own powder coat oven if it's something you want to do. But it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I wanted to powder coat this bumper, get it on the truck, continue what I was doing, and move along. I plan on heading west in a week and a half, and I still got a lot of work left to do. In the past, I've used this particular item. It's called a shortwave Speed Ray 2 infrared curing lamp. They use it for auto body, for fenders, for hoods, things like that. And I actually happen to own 2 of them. But 2 of them wasn't going to do it. And these things are fairly inexpensive, but you can get little units like this on Amazon that work amazingly well. Amazing. It was amazing how quickly they got a steel bumper up to 400 degrees. I was shocked. So I used a couple of infrared lamps plugged into separate outlets in my house so I didn't blow the whole fuse panel down. And then with these 2 units and a handheld unit, I laid out some of this reflective, heat-resistant insulation and put it right behind the steel. And it worked out pretty well. I mean, check this out. You can actually see the metal curing. So keep your eye on the lower right-hand section next to the lamp, and you can see it going from dull black to shiny black as the powder coating is curing. This whole setup wasn't very expensive, depending on what your idea of expensive is, but for me it worked out really well because I needed this bumper done. Was this ideal? Not at all. This was a ton of work and it took me about 3 days, 15 hours altogether. But there's a lot of pieces to this bumper. When I first opened the boxes that the C4 fabrication bumper came in, I was bumming because there's just so many pieces and nuts and bolts, etc., etc. It was like, what did I get myself into? But the beauty of this entire setup is C4 Fabrications has a YouTube channel, and they do a video on how to build and install this bumper that is absolutely amazing. I was so stoked to have found it.
Loose and flopping around underneath the vehicle. So the next thing we want to do is bend these little brackets down to make clearance to put the bumper on. So right now we're at a measurement of 3 inches to the seal so that it matches the size of this body line gap here on the driver's side. So since this side is where we want it to be, we're going to go ahead and fully tighten all of these support bracket hardware.
So not only does C4 Fabrication make an awesome rear bumper. Now I've put a front bumper and a rear bumper on this truck now. C4's bumper is legit. Not only do they make an awesome bumper here in America, but they actually give you phenomenal instructions and a video, unlike other companies that I've dealt with. Okay, back to the powder coating. $70 for this powder coating machine from Harbor Freight, and it worked perfectly. 4 1-pound bags of Eastwood hot coat worked perfectly. And the 4 bags gave me plenty of coverage on the bumper itself and all the swing outs. And then I used one of these small handheld units to keep the heat evenly distributed. And then I used 2 Infratech Speed Ray curing lamps, of which I already had 2 of. Now these are pretty pricey, but you could get away with using 3 of these little bad boys. You just got to keep it moving. And then of course the Eastwood hot coat is the best stuff there is, in my opinion. Now after I sprayed everything, I had to get busy with the lights. I would set up the big lights on the tripods, and then I would fill in the gaps basically with the small handheld unit. Now oddly enough, the small handheld unit seemed to be giving out more power or more curing power than the larger lamps, which really freaks me out because when these showed up from Amazon, I thought they were garbage, and I was totally wrong. The big lights I would set up about 4 to 6 inches away from the metal itself. And like I said, I ran 3 separate cords from 3 separate places in my house so I didn't blow up my fuse panel. You know what I mean? Because these things do draw. They're straight house voltage, but they still draw a lot. And you want these things running at optimal efficiency if possible. So to try to cure these as well as I could, I stayed on it. I kept moving the lamps around, and I made sure it was melting the powder coat as evenly as humanly possible. And again, this is not optimal at all. If I could have had an oven, I would have had an oven, but I just didn't have time for it. I wanted to bake this on and then touch it up as time goes by. I've had 4x4 Labs bumpers on my Land Cruiser for years, and it doesn't matter if you get them professionally powder coated. It does not matter. If you use your truck, you're going to damage it. So just touch it up, and that's what I plan on doing. But long story longer, this did work. This worked. It took some time because you have to stand around and basically babysit the lamps. I would not walk out of the room and leave all those lamps cooking on my patio. These things will burn wood, no problem. So to wrap this up, I guess, can you do a full rear bumper, which is a large piece of steel? This is about 110 pounds for the piece you're seeing right in front of me. Yeah, you can. Definitely. It took me more than one pass to do the entire rear bumper to my satisfaction, but it'll hold up enough to install it, put it all together, and use it just the way it stands. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get it powder coated in this day and age is 16, 20 weeks out, etc. And then moving the bumper to a powder coater, to me it just wasn't worth it. So, long story longer, can you do this with a curing lamp? Absolutely. But you might want to have more than 2. Do you see what I mean? At any rate, I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below, and I will try to return the favor. I am out.